Hello, everyone. This is Melinda Russell with Let's Talk Racing Live. It is Wednesday, December. Oh my gosh, I was thinking about Christmas earlier, and I'm in December. That's because it got cold today in Michigan. No, it's actually only October. So it's October in Michigan. The leaves are flying. The wind is blowing. It went from 75 yesterday to 50 something today. So that's probably why December's on my mind. Sorry about that. It got you all confused, didn't I? So we got a special guest we're going to start the show with tonight. This is Kylie. Kylie is a distributor, I guess we would say, with Hightail. And I'm just going to let her tell you about this cool product. Every boy or girl that has long hair is going to want one of these, aren't they, Kylie?
Yeah, and I've sold just as many to men as I have women. So yeah, definitely for both. So
for both. So take it away, Kylie.
Okay. So I think I originally saw Hightail on a Facebook ad, oddly enough, and clicked on it, kind of looked it over, and was like, oh, interesting, And of course, once you click on something on Facebook, it's going to show it to you again. So I kept getting reminded about this product. And finally, I did a little more research, dug into their website and looked at it. I wasn't sure if it would work for the type of helmet that I wear. And sure enough, after I watched the kind of how-to video on their website, I was like, yeah, I think that'll work. So I ordered one. I drive an IMCA stock car. This is pretty generic, just race quip helmet. So nothing too fancy, but yeah, the product was originally kind of designed more towards motorcycle riders, but I was constantly having the problem when I was getting buckled in of my neck restraint, the tethers that go to my helmet were getting caught in my hair. And I don't like to wear my hair tightly back. It gives me a headache. Usually it's loosely back or down. So I was like, well, maybe this will kind of fix my problem. It gets hot in Iowa. You've got your hair sticking to you. You want it up out of the way. So I bought it and I loved it. I contacted Hightail, I think within maybe just a week after of purchasing the product. And they're a small business. John and Jen have been great to work with, the owners. And I think it's pretty cool that they wanted to support a small racer like me too. So I don't think you can see it, but Hightail is on the car and on the tail of the car too. So they've been a great marketing partner so far. And if they're watching, thank you, John and Jen. So to kind of give you an overview of the product, comes in a little package like this. You get your 2 clips. These are already kind of secured on there, and you get a little template. It's a super simple product, but works really well. So I'll kind of show you. It's already installed on my helmet, and I'll take it apart to show you how it's installed. But basically all you do is take your little template. You want to line it up dead center of the back of your helmet. And then as you can see, this shows you where to put your 2 clips. So any helmet that you can place it on the hard shell of the helmet, that's best case scenario. I know some helmets have like this rubber piece down here that's a little bit bigger and wider. They actually sent they have extra adhesive now that you can purchase that'll actually adhere to that rubber part if that becomes an issue. But most helmets, especially motorsports applications, are going to have that hard shell that you can just go ahead and attach them to. So this has a little piece of tape on it too, so you can tape it to your helmet. You can put your 2 clips on. Ideally, you wait 72 hours for those to bond before you attach your Hightail, because it is kind of a tight fit on there and you want it to be a tight fit. So after 72 hours, you get your little Hightail piece here. I'll try and do my best to show you how it goes in, but there's 3 little prongs on this. I don't know if you can see those.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of 3 little spaces on the clip. So each little prong goes into one little space.
Okay.
So they're kind of a rubbery material. So kind of each one goes in.
And it looks like it's pretty simple to put them on there.
Definitely, yeah. It's a very simple product. They've really done a great job designing this. So then you're going to do the other 3 on this side. and then it's attached. So it gives you
Okay.
just a little pocket back there. It doesn't look like a lot of space, but I have pretty long hair. All my
You
hair
do.
fits just fine.
I was going
I
to ask
know-
you that because you do have a lot, you do have long hair, longer than really even a lot, and it all fits in that little pouch.
Absolutely. I'll show you in a second.
Okay.
But I'm going to name drop before that because
All right.
I got Taylor Cool set up with one of these.
Yeah.
And she has longer hair than I do, and it's
She
super
does.
thick. So I know that she fits all of her hair into one of these. So I'm pretty confident that anybody with any type of long hair should be able to fit all of their hair. But this is very stretchy. So
Okay.
so I'll kind of show you. I usually would have my hair back, so I'm going to put it back.
Okay.
Really loosely. This doesn't get in the way at all when you're putting your helmet on, but you stick it on.
Yeah. That is slick. Look at that. So my granddaughters both have long hair, and they race. The one of them still races this year too, but and they usually have their hair braided or whatever because it gets hot in Michigan in the summer too, like Iowa when it's humid. But I always worry that, and God forbid there'd ever be a fire or some kind of a wreck where something comes in the driver window. You know what I mean? You just
absolutely
never know what's going to happen. And I was thinking, there was those braids are hanging down, or they're behind her seat, or whatever, And if you could have your hair up where it's just out of the way, and the wind's not blowing it, and whatever, I just think it's just such a cool product, and many people could use it. And I after I saw you do it, it's like, wow, that was so simple. I learned by watching, not by reading.
Yeah.
So watching you do it made it simple.
Yeah.
And I know Taylor loves it.
Yes. And I know that she's kind of doing some go-kart stuff now. And I checked in with her this week and she said, yep, I'm still using it on my helmet for go-karts too. It's great. Keeps everything up out of the way.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the one major thing that I left out, is it really is a safety feature to add on to your helmet, because it does keep it up and out of the way. You would hate to have your hair become tangled in your safety equipment when you were trying to exit the car, or in case of a fire. Hair is very flammable. So yes, keeps us safe. And I race on dirt. It gets muddy. I cannot tell you how many times that I've come in and I've had dirt clods in my hair. Even if it's tied back, it will get in there. So it keeps your hair clean too, which is great.
That's true. I hadn't thought of that, but that is true. And that has to feel so much better, especially like you said, it gets hot and humid in Iowa, and wherever you race, it's dirty if you're on dirt. And so that's great. I love it. So why don't you tell us how much it is? How can people order it? I know we advertise it in the magazine because we love products that help our girls. And so we partnered with you to share how they can get it. But why don't you tell them where to go, how much it is, and all the things so they can all order one?
Yeah, so you can go to their website, hightailhair.com. The pack that I showed you is kind of their basic pack. I would encourage everyone to go ahead and get the ultimate pack. Basic pack is $45, free shipping. The ultimate pack is $65, free shipping. You can use the code Kylie37 to get 10% off on the $65 pack. And the difference is it comes with 2 additional clips. Now I know in my sanction of racing, our helmets eventually get out of date. We can't use them after a certain point. They're dated. For safety standards, you can only use it for so long. So that ultimate pack is going to get you 2 additional clips to use for whenever you need to upgrade your helmet, or if you have 2 helmets or whatever it might be. So you can also contact me directly. I am a retailer. I will make a comment under this video so people can click on my Facebook page or my racing page, and you can contact me directly and I can get you set up with one. You're going to get about the same deal both places. If you buy directly through me, obviously you're supporting a small racer and supporting a small business, but either way would be a great way to purchase.
It's hightail.com, but then what would be the more direct way to get it straight from you? I'm going to put it in the comments.
Probably just like messaging me through our racing page. It's Zach and Kylie Rollins Racing on Facebook, or just message my personal page is fine too. So, and it's
Okay.
hightailhair.com. If you just go to hightail.com, you'll get something else.
I
So
did that wrong.
that's
So
important.
let me remove that. Delete that comment because I put hightail.com.
Yes.
All right. Let me make sure we get this right. Hide. All right. And it's called Hightail Hair.
Yep.
All right. We'll put that on there. Message
Okay,
Zach. It's the Zach and Kylie Rollins on Facebook page. So
yep.
put that on there. So my little buddy Addison, Bad Addison, we call her. Oh my gosh, I love that little kid. She's already said, "Oh, I need one of those." Yes, you do, Addison. Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure. Addison needs one of those. She said, "Getting my hair to stay in my fire suit is a struggle. Carding is dangerous with long hair."
It is.
And she's little. She's 9 or something, so she gets it. So thank you, Kylie, for being on. Is there anything else you want to share about the product or?
I don't think so. Just thank you so much for having me on so I could talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. We'll do it again. It's the end of race season, unfortunately, right now, but that's okay. Maybe they'll have more funds this time of year now. They're not putting it into gas or tires, and then they can order one because the one I got that I gave to Madison, it's really sturdily made. It's not a flimsy piece of, netting or anything. It's really a good product. And so I encourage all you people out there with long hair that race or ride a motorcycle, because originally it was for people that rode motorcycles, right?
Yeah.
So if you race or ride a motorcycle and you have long hair, it almost ought to be mandatory that they have their hair up like that. So get a hold of Kylie and let her know that you heard about it on our podcast. That helps us too. Definitely. So that she knows, where you came from. So thank you so much, Kylie. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So Gray, we're going to get to you, but that was a pretty interesting product. Have you ever seen that before?
I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've ever actually seen it.
Okay.
I think it's a really cool product for sure, though.
Yeah. It really is cool. I was impressed with it when I got it in the mail, and I was thinking, there's a lot of girls that need this. And so then I was thinking, after I looked at it, I was like, okay, I need to have her on the show because I want her to show me how to use it, and then I can put it together, and that's just exactly what she did. So we're getting some good messages about it. So that's great, gals. Go to Kylie and tell her you saw it on Let's Talk Racing with Melinda, and then get one ordered before they run out, because don't wait till spring and then everybody's wanting them. Get one now. So, all right, Gray, we're going to focus on you and your racing and your career and all the things that you've been doing. So why don't we start by tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, how old you are, anything about yourself, your family, your pets that you want to share with us.
Hi, I'm Gray Leadbetter. I'm 17. I live in Morganton, North Carolina, so about an hour and a half out of Charlotte. I live with my dad full time. I have a dog and 2 cats, actually. I race sprint cars, but that's what I race now. Out of the things I've raced, it's like endless. I grew up on dirt bikes and then went into go-karts, mini outlaws, micro 600s, 305 and 360 sprint cars. I've ran rallycross, UTV side-by-sides for short course stuff, off-road truck. Probably something that I've forgotten on that list, but it's kind of just endless. But at the moment, we're focusing fully on sprint cars.
Okay. All right. And, you have to have a journey to get to where you are. You wouldn't have just started in sprint cars. So I love that you have raced a lot of different things, and rallycross. Now that's really different than a lot of the rest of the things that you did.
Absolutely. It was kind of one of those things that I saw when I went to X Games in Austin in 2015. And at the time I was already racing dirt bikes and mini outlaws, I think, maybe, and just go-karts. But I was like, I saw them in person and I was like, that's something I want to do in the future. And then I kind of just put my mind to it, and then I raced them throughout 2019.
Okay. I've interviewed some ladies that have done rallycross, and I knew of it, but I didn't really know much about it. And I really learned a lot from talking to those women, and it's difficult. And if you're doing that, and you have to be good buddies with your partner, because the person doing the directions, you cannot be getting mad at them, right?
So I didn't do rally. I did rallycross, which is different.
Oh,
Actually.
okay.
So rallycross is when it's a closed course and half of it's dirt, half of it's pavement.
Okay.
And it's run like a regular race, I guess you can call it, but it's just half of it's dirt, half of it's pavement, and you're in a rally car.
Okay, so that's a totally different kind of racing, even from rally road. I guess it's more rally road racing.
Yeah, kind of. It's through those
Yeah.
woods or however. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, that's very cool. So, how old were you when you got started racing, and who inspired you to get started?
When I was younger, when I was like 2 years old, I wanted a plastic toy car that you get at like Walmart. But we have a gravel driveway and those have plastic tires, so my dad instantly said no. And instead, we had friends that raced dirt bikes, but he got me like a electric four-wheeler type thing, and I rode that when I was 2 years old. Rode it going into 3 years old, and then we had friends that raced dirt bikes. They're like, "Get her PW50, see if she likes it." So I rode a PW50 with training wheels, and then next thing you know, we took the training wheels off, and then when I turned 4, I started racing it. And from that point on, I kind of just fell in love and never stopped racing. It kind of just continued and continued. And I think I went into a go-kart around 9, and we just went to a local indoor go-kart track because it was raining all summer and I couldn't ride my dirt bike. So from then on, we went to a local indoor go-kart track, to an outdoor track, to went up the ladder from there.
Yeah, that's very cool. And yeah, there are some summers that you can't do anything outside because all it does is rain. So thank goodness for that indoor track, right? And that's where you fell in love really with racing. But your dad wasn't a racer or anything. He just got you the little deal and with the training wheels, and away you went, and you never looked back.
Pretty much. There's nobody in my family that's involved with racing at all. The closest I think my family had ever gotten to racing was my dad lived in St. Pete. So we would watch the Indy 500 or the Indy when they would come down there.
Uh-huh.
And that was about the closest thing he's ever gotten to it. But he's him and my mom actually pre-ran the Baja 1000. They
Really?
pre-ran the course of it 2 or 3 times before I was born, which I think is really interesting. But
That is interesting.
before, like, there's I think it's Baja One or Baja Wide Open Baja, I think is what it's called, down there, and you can just go pre-run the course with them just for fun. And my parents went and did that, and next thing you know, here I am, I'm racing.
Yeah, isn't that funny? So it was kind of like the pre-story before you got into racing. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. But it's just interesting that was the most involvement they've had with it, and now here I am.
Yeah, now that they live, eat, and breathe it just like you do. So K-Dub is one of our loyal listeners, and she's involved in boat racing, if you can believe it, and that's a crazy sport, K-Dub, to be involved in. But anyway, she wants to know, of all the things you've raced, what is your favorite and why?
There's so many, and my answer is, when people ask what my favorite thing I do is, my answer is always whatever I drove last, because it's just I can't decide. I say one thing when I get out of it, and then I'll go and race something else 2 weeks later, and that'll be my favorite. But I think completely overall, probably rallycross, just because it was something that I had spent 4 or 5 years like looking up to and wanting to do so badly, and then when I got the opportunity, it was just unbelievable, and still is.
Okay. All right. So Mark Ashcraft, do you know him?
I do not.
Okay. He says, Gray, are you making a run at World of Outlaw World Finals again this year? He must know you. You are.
I am. We are. The sprint cars are sitting about like 2 doors behind me, actually. But yes, we will be there.
Okay. So tell me about that. Where's it at? When is it? What are you going to do?
It is the dirt track at Charlotte in North Carolina. It is not this coming weekend, but next weekend. And it's the championship race of World of Outlaws, which I obviously didn't run any World of Outlaw races this year, but since it's technically what my home track is, we go out there and we make a run for it every year. And I believe it's a 4-day weekend this time. Last year was 3 days, but we only raced 3 days. So
Okay. So they're going to compete with the NASCAR final championship, which is not this weekend, but next weekend too.
Yep. So what's funny is last year, Brad Sweet won World of Outlaws and Kyle Larson won the NASCAR and their brother-in-laws.
Right. Yeah,
So,
that is kind of cool, isn't it? Two amazing drivers, really. And then, to know that, and he's married to Brad's sister. Yeah, that's funny. So, K-Dub says, what are the speeds you see in rally?
For rally cross, I really couldn't tell you. It's probably around 80 miles an hour would be my guess. It's not that fast, just for rally cross in general, because you are on a closed course.
Okay. And about how big is it a course? It's not an oval.
Yes, it's a course.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That sounds cool. And where was it that you did that?
It was North America. So we ran one race in Canada, we ran 2 races in Chicago or Mid-Ohio, and then we ran, there was 2 more, I believe. There was one in Austin, Texas, and then there was one in somewhere else that I don't remember.
Okay. All right.
But there was 5 races total.
All right. Sounds good. So Road America, that's a great course. Oh my gosh. I used to go there to watch motorcycle racing and I love that course. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So Bad Addison says, awesome that you're going to be in World of Outlaws. She said, go see Wes at the World of Outlaw merchandise trailer and tell him Bad Addison sent you. Good luck out there. World of Outlaws is my goal. Like I said, she's 9 years old. And so, but she's amazing. You got to follow her on Facebook. She does the best videos. K-Dub says in 2022, how many races did you attend?
I believe we hit 20 sprint car races. So there's 20 sprint car races, and then I ran 6 weekends of off-road because I also ran an off-road truck this year. So, and there was 12 races, 6 weekends.
Okay. Do you come to Michigan for the off-road at all?
In the Upper Peninsula.
Okay.
In Park River International.
Okay. Because there's off-road truck races in, I think it's Brighton, Michigan. I went there a few years ago to watch them. So maybe they don't do them there anymore, but they used to, and I thought they still did. So we'll have to check that out for sure. So so are you still in school? You're 17. Are you a senior?
I would be, but I ended up graduating early. So I'm done with it.
Okay. So did you homeschool or did you actually go to school?
I've been homeschooled. So I went to elementary school. I became homeschooled going into 5th grade through On Track School, which they sponsored me, and I was with them from 8th grade to when I graduated, I believe. So I was helped by them and everything. But yeah, I've been homeschooled since 5th grade.
So is it virtual or did your mom do the schooling?
It's all online. So you don't even need to meet with somebody every week. You pretty much, they give you your set classes and you just get them done throughout the week and that's it. But the thing about this school is they actually, the owner of it started the school because her son raced motocross and they couldn't find a school that was flexible enough to understand race schedules and how fast they can change and everything like that. So she created it. So it's just, like I said, you get your set assignments for the week of each of your classes and they say, get it done by this date, but you can easily text your teacher or text whoever you need to and be like, hey, I'm going out of town for a week or 2 weeks and I'm going to have no service or no time to get work done. And they're like, okay, just get it done. So everything's flexible and they understand all of it.
That's really cool. We should, you should connect me to her. I'd like to have her on the show. I think that, that's, and it's not just racing that has crazy schedules,
no, not at all.
If you're doing other kind of sports or whatever, I would think that would really be a great school for anybody that has schedules that change at the last minute now after COVID, virtual school is something everybody's familiar with. It used to be probably when you started in 5th grade, there wasn't hardly anybody doing it. And
It was
now,
like unheard of.
yeah, and now it's like everybody knows what it is, and a lot of kids are doing it. My two of my grandkids are doing it, and you know, they're because they like to travel, and my daughter's a travel agent, and so and that's just what they decide to do this year. So yeah, so you didn't really have any classmates. I usually ask what do your friends think about you racing?
All my friends race, so
All your friends race, yeah, yeah. So you're all in the same boat. You all understand how it is, and yeah,
for
yeah,
the
for
most
sure.
part.
Yeah, for the most part. So Sherry Clausen said, "Gray, are you racing a winged sprint,
Yes, I am. I'm racing a 410.
a 410?" Okay, that's a big one.
So.
And how fast do they go? Do you know?
I think top speed is 140.
140.
Obviously depends on what size track you're at and
Yeah,
all of that, but
yeah. Have you ever raced at Knoxville?
I've not
That's a track you
not
need to
yet
get
at
to.
least.
Yeah, you will. If you're into sprint cars, you got to race at Knoxville. That's just, I mean, that.
Hopefully next year.
Okay. All right. Well, you let me know because that's one of the sprint racing events that I go to is the nationals. Usually, my friend Lori lives in Pella, Iowa, so I go stay with her and we go to the races. So yeah. So K Dub says, "Wow, that's a lot of racing. Great job. What was your best finish?"
In the sprint car, so far my best finished is a 5th or 6th, I believe, at Pittsburgh PA Motor Speedway. So we only ran. This is coming up to 20 races this year. So we only ran. I ran a 305 last year in 2021, and then we basically jumped straight into the 410 last year at World Finals. So this is still technically my rookie year in a sprint car, especially a 410.
Oh yeah, for sure. So you skipped the 360? Don't
I
you?
ran one race.
Okay, because don't you normally go from a 310 to a 360 to a 410? I mean, isn't that kind of normal?
That's normal, or people just go from 360s to 410. It kind of depends on what's around you. So I ran a 305 in last year. We started in April, and it was because we have a local 305 group that runs around North Carolina, South Carolina. So we're like, we'll go do that. And then October came, and we were going to go run a 360 race down in Alabama or Arkansas. So we went and did that, and the next thing I know, my team owner called me up and he was like, "Hey, so we're going to run World Finals," and I was like, I've run one race at a 360, and we're gonna go run World Finals in like 2 weeks." So that's what we did, and now here we are running 410 full time.
Well, you might as well just jump in with both feet and do it, right?
That's exactly how it went.
Yeah. I mean, there's no looking back now. You're in it, and you're just going to get more experience. So Tatum Kriegel, she's one of my little gals that I've interviewed. Another sweet. I've just met so many wonderful girls. Gray, you're one of them as well. But love that these little girls get on here. So Tatum said, "Do you find it easy to change between the different types of racing?" So you don't really change back and forth, do you? You just progress through them.
I have this is actually the year that I've done the least amount of racing. There was probably a few years back where I was doing mini outlaws, go-karts, UTVs, whatever you could name. I went out to Bondurant and I drove over like 10,000 miles in a Dodge Hellcat out in Arizona. So
Wow.
I've done a lot, but you kind of, since I've done it since I was 10 years old per se, of switching back between different vehicles, you kind of learn how to adapt between all of them and like immediately put your mindset onto that when you get there.
Okay. Because so I know one of my granddaughters, this is not the same, you did a lot of them, but she used to drive she went from a street stock to a outlaw late model or some kind of late model. They have all kinds of names for them. And she'd race them on the same night. And so the shifting was different and things. And so they finally decided, yeah, this is not a good idea. And she loved the street stock. She wasn't as excited to move to the late model. So she was kind of holding on to the street stock. And they finally were like, no, move to the late model. So it can be difficult, but it's like Kyle Larson, like you said, he's such a great driver. because he races so many different things.
Yeah, it's definitely something that, and I think every person should do it if they have the opportunity to, but it's definitely something that everybody that I've met in the industry is like, drive anything and everything that you can drive no matter what, because it's only going to help. If there It's nearly impossible for you to be driving constantly and it to hurt you.
Yeah. And it's seat time, even
Exactly.
if you don't finish well, or whatever it might be, it's a track you're never going to go back to. Doesn't matter. It's all seat time, and you need 10,000 hours of seat time to get
It's
good.
just
And that's what they
practice. That's
tell
all
us,
it
right?
is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
exactly.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we've kind of gone over your race story a little bit. Tell me, what color is your car? What number is it? And how did you choose it?
My car is red, and it's because of my sponsor, ReadyWise. They got to pick for the car color, and their colors are red, so it's red. My number is 28, and that kind of came from a bunch of different numbers. My number on dirt bikes was 812, which is my birthday backwards because my birthday is December 8th, so 12/8. And then from 812, my go-kart number became 12/8, which is my birthday, which is originally what it kind of was meant to be. And then at one point I needed a one-digit number, so I went with 8 because my birthday is on the 8th, like most people start out with. And then they were like, hey, you need a two-digit number. So I kind of just picked 28, and it kind of
Okay.
just came from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, my car is red because of my sponsor, and my number is 28, which there's a long story behind that one.
Yeah. A lot of girls pick their birthday number as their car
Mhm.
number. Boys
My
maybe do too, but I talk to girls, so.
Well, it's funny because one of my teammates that I just met, well, we just became teammates a few months ago. His number's also 28. So I asked him, and I was like, "Hey, why is your number 28?" He's because his birthday's like May or April 28th. So I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay, original."
Yeah, that's what a lot. I mean, that's just kind of normal. I think that's people when they have to think of a number. My favorite number is 55, and it's the year I was born. And so, it's just kind of that's just how it goes. Most of us are that way for sure.
It either
So,
gets passed down from like families or
yeah,
birthdays or whatever.
absolutely. So, what has been your most memorable moment so far in your career?
I I don't know. I think one of the biggest things that I've done, or at least in my eyes, just because it was unbelievable and it still is I did a KTM Junior Supercross Challenge. So I went when I was 7 or 8 years old on a 50cc dirt bike, and I went and raced on a Supercross track. And it was not during the race, obviously, but it was
Yeah.
throughout the night. So the stands were full; they were fully packed. It was down in Atlanta, so it was only 4 hours from me, and it was just with a bunch of different people that raced Loretta's and were big names and this and that, and just being there and being with everybody and seeing the stands fully packed for this gigantic race, and we're just on these little 50s going along the track, was pretty insane, and it still
Yeah.
doesn't feel like it really happened.
Yeah, I've seen some things on TV where they have those little tiny kids on those bikes. And I just look at it and I think, oh my gosh, what parent is letting their kid do that? But they get out there and away they go. They really know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're so fun to watch for sure. So I asked you, before we got on here, if you worked on the car, you helped on the car. So tell them what you said to me.
They do when they let me.
When they let you.
When they let me.
When they let you. So
What
what are some things that they've let?
not.
What are some things they've let you do?
It depends. I mean, they don't let me do like engine stuff or stuff like that. But normally when we're at the racetrack, my job is just clean the race car, wipe it down, wipe it off, clean the body panels, whatever. And then when we get back to the shop, if the race car comes back to North Carolina, because it's been up in Ohio all season, because that's where we race. But when the race car comes back to North Carolina, I'm the one who washes it. I'm the one who does all of that cleaning, and then it's just like general maintenance type stuff if they want me to do it. Most of the time, I'm not allowed to just because they don't want me to mess anything up.
Okay, so tell me who they are. Is it your dad? Is it your crew chief? Who helps you with the car?
It's mostly just the team owner.
Okay.
It's just one person who's Mark Daly. Back in Ohio, there was Mark Daly, who again team owner, and then Fuzz, who we ran. It was his shop that we ran out of up there,
Okay. All
and
right.
then people that come in and out, so on and so forth, that just come to have fun.
So when you go to the race, so you live in North Carolina, you probably drive maybe to a lot of these races because they aren't real far away. So your parents go with you. Who goes with you? And then when you get to the racetrack, who actually helps you at the track?
So this year was a little bit different than it has been any other year because all the racing were in Ohio. So we left the truck, trailer, car, everything up there at the race shop, and we actually flew in and out just because it was
Okay.
fly in Friday, race Saturday, leave Sunday morning, and it was just
Okay.
3-day weekend, whatever. But I actually flew up with the team owner every time, car owner, team owner, whatever you want to call him. Who's basically like my dad at this point.
Okay.
I would fly up with him, do everything there. He would help me at the track, or whoever else would show up. Again, there's just people that are like friends that want to come, have fun, help, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So it's not just the two of us, but we'll go up, we'll race, and then we fly back. My dad will sometimes drive up if he wants to, if he's not busy with work. He's come to probably half of the races this year. But for the most part, there'll be times I'll even just fly it by myself
Okay.
and get to the airport, and then they'll come pick me up from the airport since I'm not old enough to rent a car.
Yeah.
And then so
Even though you drive a race car.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I know. That's crazy. Oh, all right. That's cool. That's good. So, do you have a favorite person to race against? Because do you race against the same people like pretty much every weekend that you race?
Kind of. It sort of changes. It's not really exactly the same just because we bounce
Okay.
around between different tracks, different series, whatever. I
Okay.
don't think I have a favorite person to race against per se.
Okay. Do you have anybody you do not like to race against?
Not that comes to my mind.
Okay, that's good.
I don't think there's anybody that
Nobody that consistently runs you into the wall or does anything dirty or
No,
hey,
I don't think
they're
so.
out there, let me tell you. They really are.
They
So,
are. I mean, there's one-off people for sure, but there's nobody that comes into my mind.
yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that for sure. So, what do you see down the road for Gray Leadbetter? Where are you going?
Well, at the moment, we're just focusing on sprint cars next year. Hopefully, our goal is to run at least 40 races next year. I'm not going to be racing off-road next year at the moment. That could change still. But I ran it this past year, and I'm not sure that we will next year. But there's still definitely some few things in the works that I can't talk about quite yet because I don't have a definite answer. But overall, sprint cars at the moment. And as I always say, if I get an opportunity to go drive something, I'll most likely take it, even if it's NASCAR, IndyCar, sports cars, or a dirt late model, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I feel just from talking to you that you don't really have any fear of any of those kind of cars. I mean, it's like get in, try it, see what you can do, and go from there.
Absolutely, yeah. It's part of having drove so many different things and just bouncing in and out, growing up.
Yeah, for sure. So, do you have any marketing partners? I know you said you've got an owner that has a business, but do you have any other marketing partners that you want to share about or give them a shout out?
For sponsors list, there's Ready Wise, who helps us tremendously. They're the most they backed us up the most. That's why the race car's red. Ready Wise, and then their partner brand is Simple Kitchen, and they make like freeze dried meals, freeze dried food, stuff like that. And then there's Monster Energy. And then On Track School, which is I'm still with them even though I'm not in school anymore. We still help them a lot, and they help us. And then away from that, there's like Sparko, and which soup company, and National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. So we work with them. I go and help with their events that they do because they do like fashion show runway type things with the kids that have cancer. It's the cutest thing in the whole world. And then what we have with them is any sponsorship that comes toward me, whether it's $10 or $10,000 or whatever, 10% of it goes towards them.
Oh,
So
that's
anything
good.
that comes towards me goes towards them and helps the kids, which means the most to me ever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very cool. And I know that Sherry Pollack does an event for kids with cancer, I want to say too. Don't they do like some kind of big fashion show thing with kids in Charlotte?
Not that I'm familiar with, but they
Okay.
might.
You'll have to look her up and see about the fundraiser that they do for Martin Truex. So they do some
Yeah,
kind
well,
of
for
like
sure.
fashion show thing, and I'm pretty sure it's kids with cancer, but I'm not sure what kind.
That
Yeah.
sounds right. I think I do know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So if you have a bad day at the racetrack, how do you deal with that?
I try to stay calm as I can be at the racetrack and then just think about it after the fact once we're away from the track and away from everybody else. But when I'm at the racetrack and something happens, I just try to walk into the trailer and deal with it myself and then walk out and like everything's normal.
Okay, that's good. You're not yelling at anybody or stomping your feet,
I,
having a tantrum or anything like that. So that's good for sure. Yeah. So what's been your biggest obstacle as far as being a race car driver? You know, some people say, "Oh, have terrible starts," or I don't do this very well. What's been your biggest obstacle?
I think mine is taking that 2 or 3 laps to get used to the track or get used to the car when you first get there, because in sprint cars, at least, you can go on the track and your hot laps and qualifying can be 1 lap, and that's all you get before you go race. That's
Mhm.
it. And
Yeah.
that 1 lap is the most crucial part of the night, and that's, I think, my biggest flaw, which I'm working on and it's getting better, but it's just a mind game for that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, you know, getting the car ready, which they don't let you do, but getting the car
Okay.
ready is part of, going out and having a successful night. What do you do to be your best on race night?
So something that I do personally, which everybody questions when I say it, but something I do is when I go to a racetrack, I try to keep my mind off of racing, like the race itself. I think of the track, the car, the setup, all of that. But I try to keep my mind off the race itself until I get in the car and the car gets pushed off to start, or you flip a switch to start it, however it might be. But when I tend to try to think about it, I overthink it and then I just overdrive and then it just goes downhill. So I try to keep my mind off of it as much as I can until I get into the car, strapped in, and the car is started. And then at that point, that's the only thing I'll think about. That's the only thing my mind goes to, and that's when I tend to perform my best.
Okay. That's good because you're right. In life or anything else, if you overthink something, it's usually not a good outcome. So you've learned that at a young age for sure. So Mark Ashcroft says, do you think social media is playing a factor with females getting into motorsports?
I think so in a way, just because we're able to get our names out there more often. If you say if you walk up to somebody without if I walked up to somebody without social media and I say, "Hey, I race cars," they're gonna look at you like you're crazy, because that's just not something that you say. And if you don't have pictures or results or whatever to prove it, then they're not gonna believe you. And it's sad truth, but it is the truth.
That is
And
the truth.
I definitely think that with social media, and especially platforms like Instagram and Twitter, where you can get a large spectrum, we're able to get our names out there and prove what we're able to do, and just get sponsorship and just things like that.
Yeah. And I think the more that you're able to, be positive on social media and share what you're doing, and the more posting you do, the more interest you have, and it does really help make a name for gals that race. I mean, that's how 99% of the women that I meet, including you, I find on social media. Somebody either tags you in a post, or I happen to come across your name as winning at a track somewhere or racing at a track somewhere. I follow so many track pages on Facebook, and I'll run across a woman's name and Honestly, if I ran across your name, somebody had to have told me about you. I'm not sure who it was, because typically Gray would have been, is that a girl or a boy? And I've reached out to some people, and they're like, well, I love that you reached out to me, but I'm a guy. So I have to be careful about that. But that's how I find so many of, really all of you guys. And I've just made so many cool connections and friends from doing it. And I just think that the social media part, at least in my opinion, is huge. And it isn't just for the girls, it's for everybody. The better you are,
for
sure, the more you can promote yourself in a good way and get followers, the better your chances are of getting some good sponsors, I would think. Yeah. So K-Dub wants to know, do you have any lucky charms or pre-race rituals?
I'm not sure I do. I'm not really like I don't want to say superstitious person, but I'm not really a person that thinks like that. I'm just kind of like a go with the flow, it is what it is kind of person. So I really don't think that I do. I mean, I might do something that I don't even recognize that I do.
Yeah. So like, I hear from people, well, some people have little lucky charms they have in their car or something. And then, some people say, I always put my left leg in my suit first and my left arm and my left glove, or, and until you ask them, they haven't thought about it, but they're like, yeah, I guess I do. I always do this, or I always do that. What about eating on race day? Do you always have something? It doesn't matter. Do you have the same thing that you like to eat on race day?
Not really. When I was younger and I used to race at Millburn Speedway, every time before a race, before I'd go out for the feature, I would eat M&Ms. I would go up to the thing and I'd get a bag of M&Ms and I would eat it every time. I haven't done that in a while, so maybe I should try it again. But
okay.
That's something I used to do when I was little. But besides that, I don't think there's anything like specific that affects it.
Okay. So KC Bowen Racing. Do you know them?
I do not.
Okay. Just wants to know, do you have any specific workout routines?
Not necessarily specific. I kind of we have a gym at my house. And so whenever I'm home and if I'm on the road, whatever, I kind of just go down and I kind of make it up as I go, because although it's consistent, it's just not like laid out as it is whatever. So it's just something that I come up with as I go, because for me, going and having a set workout it gives me no motivation. When I go and I kind of just come up with things that I have interest with at that point in time is when things get exciting.
Well, and if it becomes a chore, then you don't want to do it. And if you kind of just take a laid back approach and be like, I'm gonna go run today, or I'm gonna do whatever, that's probably better. Some people are pretty regimented about their workout, which works for them. I don't do that, obviously. I have a bad back and a bad knee, and so the workout things aren't in my program. But you're young, and really being in great shape is a requirement for race car drivers. Yeah,
it is. It's like the other day I was at my house and it was cooler outside, and I have a very fluffy dog. So when it gets cooler outside, I like to take her on a walk. So that's just what I did. I went on a 2 or 3 mile walk. She barely lasted through it, so it wasn't that long. But just like a walk, run, and it was just nice to be outside and do something like that.
Yeah, and all of it, no matter what it is, anything that you do is beneficial. So that's all good. So this is kind of a little bit down. We're going to go down the path of being a woman in motorsports, because that's what I focus on. Do you think there are any unexpected benefits or challenges to being a woman in racing?
I think benefits, yes, because you sadly, I don't know if it's a bad thing or a good thing, but you can get more opportunities just because people in motorsports in a way, they do want to see girls succeed, and they want to see them out there, and they want to see them becoming more normalized in the sport. So I definitely think there's opportunity for more opportunities. And that's something that you have to take to advantage. Whether you want to have to say it like that or not, you do have to take it to advantage.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think more and more every year. I started this in 2017 and I couldn't even find a Facebook group about women in motorsports. There was
I
nothing,
can believe it.
which is why I started this, And so each year it's grown, and the number of women involved in racing is way more than any of us probably ever thought of. And it's growing year by year for sure. And, it's even in corporate America, there's companies now that see the benefits of promoting women in motorsports. And so now if we can just get a lot more of those companies to see that it's not just the Brad Sweets and the Kyle Larsons and the Bubba Wallaces and the whoever's, Haley Deegan's.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other people that race at all different levels. And, when you're racing a sprint car, you're in front of a whole different group of people than somebody that's racing an asphalt late model. And so, I think they have to realize that there's a huge audience out there, dirt, asphalt, NHRA, whatever it might be. And they can't just focus on one type of racing because there's so many different people out there that only watch what they like to watch. They don't watch every
Absolutely.
race. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. But I'm happy to see more corporate people, becoming involved. And that's a good thing to see. So if a mom and and her little daughter came up to you and the mother said, Gray, my daughter wants to be just like you, where should she start? Should she race? Is it a good thing to be involved in? What would you say?
I definitely think it's a good thing to be involved with. It's definitely an expensive sport. It's probably one of the most expensive. So that's really the hardest challenge for sure. But I think for anybody that's getting started, whether you're 5 years old or 17 or 25 and you just want to get into racing somehow or another, is go to a local go-kart track or go to a local, we have Millbridge Speedway where you can get into like a box stock if you're 5 years old or whatever, and just get into something at the low level or whatever you want to call it, and just do it. And then try to work on social media and try to work on all the things that you probably don't want to do. And just as long as you can get your foot in the door and just try to get into something no matter what, that's definitely the first step.
Yeah, for sure. And it is a very expensive sport, but there are ways to get started without a huge investment. And, you don't want to go out and buy a brand new cart and a brand new everything to take to the try and ride. Take your kid to the try and rides, let them have a lap or two, ask somebody whose kid has a cart, hey, my kid's interested, can they run around the track a couple times? Just do that and see first whether the kid is even really interested. Or, it's one thing to sit in the bleachers and think they want to do it. It's a different thing to put them in the car. So, do that. But if they have the interest and the passion for it, and, you can tell. I mean, even when I interview girls, I can tell the ones that are really passionate and the ones that are just kind of, I like it. But you can tell that they're not quite as passionate as some of the other ones that I talk to. So, but it's a great, it's a great sport, I think, for families to get involved in, because it definitely more times than not takes the whole family to do it. And, as far as like my family, that's just something that we do as a family, all of us, we go to watch my granddaughters race, their boyfriends race, my son-in-law's in the pits, my daughter sits with me in the stands. It's a family thing that we do. And we're not alone. That's 90% probably of the people at the track. So yeah, for sure. So I'm going to ask you some little quick questions just to find out what some of your favorites are. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What's your favorite food?
Potatoes. Anything that has to do with potatoes.
I love potatoes too. And they're not as good for me as they used to be, but I love them for sure. Favorite restaurant?
Probably E's Fusion Sushi, which is a local restaurant around here.
Okay. Favorite color?
Blue. And no,
Favorite
it's not gray.
It's not gray. No,
It's not gray.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, no, that wouldn't be it. So, but blue's kind of a offshoot of gray in a way, for sure. Yeah. Oh gosh. Favorite number.
28.
Okay. Favorite place to go on vacation.
Favorite place I have gone on vacation is Alaska.
Oh, that's cool. Is there somewhere you really want to go?
At the moment, Alaska was the thing that I wanted to go to since I was like 6 years old. So my mom surprised me for my 16th birthday. But I'm going to Australia over Christmas for a vacation, so we'll see how that is.
Oh, I think that's going to be awesome. Now, will
I'm,
they be
I'm excited for
racing?
it.
Will they be racing when you're over there?
They will be, but I'm not gonna be able to go because we're going on a cruise. So
Oh, okay.
it's Australia, New Zealand. I'm really excited for it, but like I wish I could go to the racetrack.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna be able to.
So I have a good friend that owns a racetrack in Alaska.
Which
Did you know-
one?
There's Alaska Raceway Park. Is what she
Is
owns.
it a dirt track?
Yes.
I went.
Well, I don't know
If it's a,
I think so.
I'm pretty sure it is. I think that's the one I went to because I went to one because we booked my trip to Alaska and then my school administrator at the time actually lives in Alaska and she lives in Fairbanks. And so the Alaska, I'm pretty sure it's that racetrack is in Fairbanks. So I
Yeah.
somehow managed to convince my mom, who doesn't really care so much about racing, to go all the way to Alaska, take a different flight for an hour away to go meet my teacher and go to the racetrack.
That's pretty cool. So Michelle Maynor is the owner, one of the owners there, and Alaska Raceway Park. So we're gonna have to find out if that's for sure where you went. But you check that out. Yeah, I bet it was. I'll bet it was because she's on social media a lot, and you would have been able to, connect with her probably. So that's really cool. I'm gonna have to tell her that. That's cool. Okay, so that was your vacation destination. Do you have a favorite racetrack?
Attica Raceway Park is probably my favorite when it comes to sprint cars so far. And Barker Raider National, which is in Upper Peninsula, Michigan, is probably my favorite in off-road or just in general.
Okay. All right. What kind of music do you like?
Anything. At the moment, it's country, but at the moment,
Okay.
I'll listen to anything.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite sports team?
Don't watch sports.
The what?
I said I never watch sports.
Oh, you never watch sports. Okay. So you're not a Charlotte Hornets fan or a none of that. You don't care. Okay.
I just normally my weekends are spent racing, so I don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, you don't get a chance probably to watch very much. Do you have a favorite movie that if you had some downtime, it's the movie you'd sit down to watch?
My favorite all-time movie, even though it's a Christmas movie, is Home Alone. My favorite racing movie is The Art of Racing in the Rain.
Oh, that's a great movie.
It always makes me cry, but it is a good
know,
movie.
And I just saw that. I had seen it at the theater, and then we were somewhere. I can't remember where we were, and we were going through the TV, and it was on, and the people that had stopped to see us sat down and watched the rest of the movie with us. That's a great movie. If you haven't seen The Art of Racing in the Rain, top movie to watch for sure. Yeah, I love that. That's probably that and Days of Thunder are my favorite racing movies. My all-time favorite movie is White Christmas. Does that tell you my age? You probably don't even know what that is. So
I think I've heard of it.
Yeah, I watch it every year, and it's on TV. And I don't. Your mom's probably the age of my daughters, and she probably doesn't even know about it. But it's an old movie, probably from the 50s. But it was my favorite. It still is my favorite Christmas movie for sure. What's your favorite thing to celebrate?
Halloween.
Oh, I don't like Halloween.
You should not see my house then. It is full of Halloween decorations.
Okay, so I grew up on a farm, and Halloween always in Illinois, West Central Illinois, Halloween was always during harvest. So my dad was always in the field. I lived in the country, so I they're really my grandma and my aunt and uncle were the only ones that lived really close enough to actually trick or treat to. So we'd go to the church party. And then, so that's how I grew up Halloween, you know, it was not that big of a deal. And then when my kids started to the age where they wanted to do it, it was always raining. They had to cover their costumes up with a coat. They'd tracked mud in my van. I just, year after year, and it was like, I hate Halloween. I've never been a fan of Halloween. I like fall. I like pumpkins and all that, but I'm not a fan of Halloween. So anyway, so K-Dub wants to know, is there a story behind the picture behind you?
I couldn't tell you if there is or not. About
Okay.
the race, I'm at the race shop and I'm sitting in, which is also a business. It's not just a race shop around here. But I'm sitting in their conference room right now and I actually have no idea. Or I would
Okay.
tell you.
Okay, that's all right. And then Casey Bowen Racing says, did you ever race a Bandolero or Legends car?
I have raced Legend car. I forgot to say that earlier, but because I forget. But yeah, I raced a Legend car at Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 3 years, I believe, during their winter series that they do.
Okay, all right. You've been a busy girl
Very,
in your 17 short years, for sure.
very.
Yeah, very busy. Is there anything, Gray, that we haven't talked about that I should have asked you about as far as your racing, or anything that you want to share about that maybe I don't know about you that we should share with our listeners?
I don't think so. People always find it interesting when I say, I forgot to mention it earlier also. I have 2 older sisters. They're
Okay.
27 and 24, I believe. I can't keep track because of their birthdays, but they're 27 and 24, and the 27-year-old is an esthetician and does professional like tattooing, eyelashes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the other one is in medical research. And then there's me.
That's so were you kind of the boy that your dad didn't get?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean,
we tried to get the 24-year-old to ride a dirt bike when she was younger. She just had no interest. She's all like book smart, all of like that stuff. And then the oldest one is like artistic, and then there's me.
well, you know, that makes your family interesting though, because you're not, of course, no 2 or 3 kids are ever the same. I had 4 children, 1 boy and 3 girls, and none of them were the same as far as, you know, interest. One of them knew she wanted to be a teacher her whole life. She went to school, she worked, she had a family and went to school and graduated from college. The only one that graduated from a 4-year college, and taught for a few years. And from the time she was little, she always wanted to be a teacher. And so she did that, and she did it for a few years. And the education system has changed so much from the time, you know, she had in her mind that it was going to be like it was when she was in 7th grade. And by the time she graduated and everything, it had changed so much. And she lives in Arizona. It's so different that she just said, I can't do this anymore. And she got interested and involved with a travel company called Smart Moms Travel. They specialize in Disney trips, but she can book any kind of travel. I'm going to plug her because she's one of our sponsors. But she is a travel agent and she absolutely loves it. And so her kids are the 2 that are virtual schooling, so that they can travel. She goes to Disney like once a month or something. It's ridiculous.
That's cool.
But she loves it. And so she's found her passion, you know, and she thought it was teaching, and it wasn't. And, you know, one of my daughters is in the nursing field, and one of my daughters is in the marketing field. And then my son sold cars and did all kinds of things, and he's passed away. So all my kids had different interests, you know, but my son was the one that got us involved in racing, and then gave us all the bug. And then my oldest daughter has the girls that actually race. And so
that's cool. That's
we've
really
kept
cool.
it in the family for sure. Yeah. Well, Gray, this has been very fun to talk to you and learn more about you and share about all of your racing adventures. And why don't you tell our listeners, how can they follow you on social media?
Everything with my social media is Gray Leadbetter. So pretty much just my name. That's every social media platform I think there is out there. Plus, there's also grayleadbetter.com, which I believe, or at least should have my up-to-date race schedule, even though we're going into off season, at least for next year.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. So follow Gray on social media, give her a shout out, tell her you saw or heard the podcast, and then we'll be sharing this all over the place so that if you see the link, feel free to share it and get Gray's story out there. And let's get her to the World of Outlaw series where she's racing it all the time. Wouldn't that be fun?
I agree.
Yeah, I agree. So K-Dub said, best of luck in 2023. She's one of our best listeners, loyal listeners. So thanks, K-Dub, for being on. Gray, thank you for being here with us too. Sherry Clausen said, thank you for being on. And so appreciate the time. I know it's a Wednesday night. You probably got other things you could be doing, but you're not working on the race car. So we know that
no one is at the moment.
No one is at the moment. So at least I knew you had
is.
time to talk to us. So appreciate that, Gray. And we'll be following you. And something that Brett always says on the show, and as I told you earlier, he's taken a few weeks off. What he always says on the show is that when you're on, the Women Motorsports Network is a family. And once you're on the show, you're part of our family. And so he always says, welcome to the family. So Peggy Knight Leadbetter, you know who that is.
That's my grandma.
Yeah, she said, wonderful interview with my grand. So that's awesome. Well, thanks for being on, Gray. Stay in touch. Tag us in your posts so that we can follow what you're doing. And then we'll talk again soon, I hope.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yep, bye.
What a cool girl. I love having her on the show. Learned a lot more about her and shared all the different kinds of racing she's done. Wow. Impressed. There's some amazing young women out there that we have yet to meet, and some of them we just met, and one of them was tonight. So thanks, Gray, for being on the show. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll put the link out if you want to share it. Feel free to do so. We love having you on the show, and we'll see you next week. See you at the track.